What's going on? Sorry about that. What's going on? Welcome back to Chris's Sports Corner. Real quick, man. Hope everybody's having a great. Is it still? Yeah. It's still Saturday, man. Um, First of all, man, thank everybody that's been coming through, supporting the channel, all that good stuff, man. It's been one of those days, in the NBA, and it's playoff time, and we love it. So just want to stop real quick to say thank you guys. But real quick, man, the Boston Celtics versus the Brooklyn Nets. Um, and let's be honest here, man. In the beginning of this thing, you was like, Boston, Boston got a real chance here, guys. Boston might do it. The Brooklyn Nets woke up. But listen, this is the key thing that I want to point out in this game, man. And about the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets remind you a lot of Golden State in their prime. They're going to go on runs, and there's nothing you can do about that. The thing is, do not try to match them, especially when they get hot. You start jacking up threes. That's a recipe for disaster right off the rip, right down. Let me just say that from the rip. That's a recipe for disaster. What I suggest is, in a situation like that, just continue to play within your offense. They're going to get hot. They got Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and of course, James Harden. So they're going to go on runs. There's little to nothing you could do about it. But do not get outside of your offense. And I felt like that's what played the Boston Celtics tonight. Because when they came out in that third quarter and it was like the gears started clicking for Brooklyn, you start to see Boston try to amp it up and try to rush stuff rather than get into their offense, make some drives. You ain't got to jack up threes, you know. And I get it because they were extremely hot, right? Prior to this, they was extremely hot in that first half. In that third quarter, they thought they were still hot. Apparently not. Brooklyn took over, never looked back. But let me say this: the Boston Celtics, for one, are undermanned, but they got a young talent. If he could just stay healthy, that I think is wow, and that's Robert Williams. Now, Boston fans, you're very familiar with him. If you're not a Boston fan, you may not be familiar with this guy, but he's a difference maker on that team. He's springy, meaning he's a big guy, but he's down and right back up, down and right back up, down and right back up, meaning I think he finished with like 8 or 9 blocks tonight, running around the rim. He's diving on the floor. He's hustling. He's doing all the things that you want a young man like him to do. And when you look at someone like Robert Williams, who, you know, and let's just be honest, the Boston Celtics has been riddled with injuries, especially not having Jaylen Brown right now is not helping. Robert Williams obviously is a breath of fresh air, but he was hobbled. And let's be honest, okay, even at full strength, I don't know if they will come out this series, but you know, you don't want to be hobbled the way they are, missing one of your key players, going into a series against a team as dangerous and as good as the Brooklyn Nets. Like them, love them, hate them, you got to give them their credit. They're good. They're good. I mean, it was designed that way when they put all those pieces together. But what I will say, man, is Boston in the first half was right. Well, they was winning. They was winning this game in the first half, and if you're a Boston Celtics fan, in your mind you're like, they gotta know Brooklyn gonna come out in that second half with some intensity and try to get this thing back on the wraps. The Boston Celtics were led by Jason Tatum. He had 22 points. Not the most efficient night. He was 6 of 20. Did hit 9-11 of his free throws. He 1 of 3 from the 3-point line. Marcus Smart was key, especially in that first half, man. He was knocking down his shots, knocking down his threes. He had 17 overall. He just had a really good first half, and you kind of wanted him to keep it going in that second half if they're going to have a chance to come out of this game. Kemba Walker. Can I be honest? Now I know I'm a Laker fan. No, make no bones about it. But this is not a. Oh, I'm a Laker fan, so let me throw some shade at the Celtics. But I'm gonna be honest. I don't see Kimba as that guy. Like I'm just being honest, man. I've said this last year. I think he's a good player. I think that he plays hard, but I wouldn't put the superstar tag. I wouldn't put the carry the team guy. Like he's not that guy in my opinion, man. I've watched him too many times. Like just seem like he shrink or just don't come through. It was a couple times and that played a part in the tide turning where he came down and he jacked up a couple threes and you're like and just banged them. You was like come on man, you're not gonna make it doing that. But he did have 15 points. Tristan Thompson played well. 10 rebounds, gave you 4 points, but he gave you 10 rebounds, 2 assists. That's pretty much what you want from him. Maybe a little bit more on the offensive end, but you're not gonna get much. The Brooklyn Nets, man, led by KD, 32 points. Irving gave you 29. James Harden gave you 21. Harris gave you 10. Jeff Green gave you 3. Claxton gave you 6. The thing is, there's a rotation where for Boston when KD and Kyrie Irving sits. If I'm Boston, just playing devil advocate here. If I'm Boston, that's my time. I'm looking at each player on that court and say, when these two go out, we got to dominate this section of this game because Steve Nash sits Kyrie and KD at the same time and just have not taking enough from James Harden at all. But at that moment, you got to pound them. You got to go hard. I mean, you got to try to get a big run right there. That's key. Because other than that, man, you got all 3 of those guys. It's just hard to stop, especially when they get warmed up and they start to feel it. Yeah, it's almost impossible to stop, man. And but what can I say, man? The Boston Celtics, they came out, they played hard. They had a chance to win this game. They just had that lull in the third quarter, and but you got to get a Brooklyn Nets defense some credit there. They did step up a little bit defensively. Defense has always been that Achilles heel. People feel like they don't play defense. Well, they don't play a lot of defense. But it seems like when they need a stop, they get a stop. Or they affect the game. They can turn up that defensive energy, which is going to be key for them going in these playoffs. Game 1 belongs to the Brooklyn Nets. And Boston, they had a chance at getting this one. Hopefully they can make some adjustments and handle their business next one. With that being said, guys, please come subscribe to the channel. Man, it's NBA playoff season, baby. Until next time, man, you guys be good.